Hello. Hello, hello. We have a new... Let me make sure I'm live, actually, before I do anything. It's good for my wrist strength, I think, doing this. Hello, everyone. Okay, looks like we are, in fact, live. Hello. We have a new water bottle. I have a purple one, too. The purple one is back, but now I also have green, so I can alternate them when one's in the dishwasher. Hopefully you all can see me. I'm going to go ahead and get the chat connected here. It is... How hot is it outside right now? 90 degrees probably? Oh, actually it's hotter. It's 94. Okay. No, wait, 93? 93. We're going to go with 93. I mean, it probably depends on, like, you know, I don't know exactly what it is outside of this. Like if I had a thermometer outside, but it's a hot one. So I don't have the doggo camera on because it has a tendency to glitch and overheat very easily, and I only have one fan. So I'm using that fan to cool down my camera, and instead I will gift you all with a Bendita cuddle. Ooh, maybe that's what I'll do for the stream goal for today. I'll do a bandit cuddle. That'd be a good one. All right, let me just... I think we should be... Why does it say I'm offline? I am live, right? Yes? Okay. I don't know. Let me... Is it being weird? Oh, it's probably because OBS updated. Oh, no, wait. Accidentally, I turned on the wrong one, I think. That would be it. That would be the reason why. There we go. Okay, now we are saving and connecting. Hopefully? Yes? Yes? We did not crash the stream in the process of me attempting to do that? Okay, great. Fantastic. Lovely. All right. We are here. We are connected fully. Thank you so much. The AC broke today, got it fixed, but it got up to 80 degrees in my house. Whoa, Kenzie, that is way too hot. I hope you were doing okay. I've actually gotten, before I've gotten Bandit, like those little, you can get like doggy cooling mats, and she refuses to lay on them. She will not. I put her on them, I cover her with a blanket, and she just looks at me and then immediately gets off of them. And it's like, I put them on her bed, like it doesn't matter. She's like not about laying on the cooling pad. So with my dog, what I do is, she's small enough to put in the sink. So I'll fill the sink with cool water, and I'll just dunk her in the cool water for a little bit. Until, like, it's been a couple minutes, and then I take her out and dry her off. Because dogs lose a lot of heat through their paws. So if you have dogs and it's hot outside, it's a good idea to, like, you know, have them have their paws in, like, cool water, because it helps them cool down. Yeah, my chat is... There's normally a little bit of a delay. Just a little bit of a delay. Maybe you're not live. Maybe this is pre-recorded. I know it's not pre-recorded because I've never worn... Oh, no! Oh, no! No, the frame rate. What happened to the frame rate? Oh, no, wait, it's going back up again. No, it's going back down. No, wait. I don't know what's happening. Is it okay? Okay, I think that was just a fluke. I think it's fine. Okay. I was about to have a... Maybe it's so hot outside. Things are happening. I don't know. Whatever. It is what it is. Yes, but I am seeing the chat, so don't worry. It seems like we're having some kind of, like, connectivity issue. I keep getting an error message. And I think maybe that was just a blip. Hopefully it's back. Let me... Anything else that's like, maybe it's just YouTube? Do I refresh? Maybe that'll like... Sometimes refreshing just... Nope, it still is showing that there's an error. Which should not be the case because I can see from OBS it's fine. So, if anyone is like, if I'm like 15 FPS, if I sound like a robot, let me know and I can look at it. I do the same thing with my dog. LOL, it works really well, actually. It is. Also, it's funny because I get to see her with her little, like, tiny chicken feet because she's very fluffy, and then when she's wet, you can see that she's, like, not nearly as big as she looks, so it's good. Okay, all right, let's get into the whole deal because we're starting a little bit late here, and thank you all so much for your patience. I had an appointment that I couldn't move, and I was like... I scheduled this for like the middle of the day, and I should be back in time to start streaming. But I know from experience, if I'm driving in Portland anywhere between like 3 and 6 p.m., there's going to be some kind of accident somewhere that's going to slow everything down. Lo and behold, I was correct, and a normally 20-minute drive took 45 minutes. So I knew something was going to happen, so we warned everyone. But in any case, thank you all so much for being here on this Friday. I really appreciate you choosing to spend a little bit of your Friday evening with me. This is an interactive BDSM and kink relationship, asexuality, queer stuff, trans issues, pop culture, news, etc. live stream and Q&A. This is 18 plus only, so if you're not at least 18, please do not be here. That is for your safety, my safety, everyone's safety, just because mixing all those topics and also having minors and adults in the same space, not a great idea, because I'm not a licensed professional. I am not a psychologist, a therapist, a sexologist, a doctor, anything like that. So this is just me helping you out as a friend and as a peer. So that's just what you should take the advice as. I am not an expert in any sort of like qualified licensure sense of the term, and we just hang out and we ask and answer questions. We have a good time. It can be about things that are in the title of the stream. I normally toss out a couple of ideas based on what I've sort of seen be a big conversation online recently. There's been, obviously, just put out a video talking about, of all things on earth, people on Tumblr who think that believing non-sexual kink is possible makes you a danger to children, which is quite a heavy topic, but we can certainly talk more about non-sexual kink, because I know it's a confusing thing for a lot of people, and there's a latency when you're just like responding to people and then you're making a really long video and then like maybe they respond. Like there's a lot of room in there for assumptions, and maybe a little bit more of like a back and forth live format will be better if there's any sort of questions about like what does non-sexual kink feel like? Like, how do people know they're into non-sexual kink? Like, what's the difference between like a hobby and a kink? Like, we can talk about any of that, or like ways to do kink non-sexually, because I think that's also something that people will struggle with if they've gotten into kink for more sexual reasons, but maybe they want to start exploring doing it other ways. We can also talk about that too. So that's like one option. Really anything you all want to talk about, I'm happy to talk about, but that's sort of what I had in mind for that. Also co-topping. It seems to be the season of co-topping. I don't know when that happened, but like co-topping is a hot topic. Basically, ever since there was a co-topping experience in Baldur's Gate 3, I feel like it's been in the news more. It's been in the I don't know, the kink social spheres that exist. And also something else I thought could be interesting to talk about is like training, because I've talked about like submissive training and dominant training, and for some reason, I don't know if it's just on Twitter, but clicker training has actually gone like fairly viral in the last like I see it like probably like once a month. Somebody has like a viral Twitter thread that's normally not super great, to be honest with you, about how to do clicker training. And I actually just made a Patreon video for this month that's like it was like a 35-minute, 40-minute deep dive into how to do clicker training for like pet play, for service submission, for like sexual kinks, for orgasm control. And it's one of my favorite videos I've made in a long time, because it wasn't about a news thing, and it was just about like kink and how to do it and have fun. And I actually maybe one of the few people talking about this that actually has like taken like multiple in-person classes on how to do clicker training with animals. So like that's where my background comes from. I'm not an expert in it. Also, like I'm not a professional dog trainer, but I've actually done it. Like I understand the science behind it, maybe a little bit more than somebody on Twitter does. So, you know, if you want to know about that, it's on Patreon. And just like training in general, like submissive training, dominant training, you know, pain tolerance training for masochists, kind of anything in that realm I thought could be fun to talk about as well. But basically anything y'all want to chat about, I am happy to do, and I'm excited to hear y'all's thoughts and see what y'all got going on. All right, okay, so yes, I had this stream time originally for 7:30, just as like a really far out, because like, you know, whenever you have appointments, like, I don't know if anyone else has this experience, but I swear, like, if I'm doing anything, it could be a medical appointment, it could be the dentist, whatever, like, there's like a 50% chance they're like my appointment's going to be for like 3 and they're going to start at like 4, you know. So I wanted to make sure I very much hedged my bets in case I was like super late and couldn't get to my phone and tell people what time the stream was starting. But we are live now, as you can see. Yep, the weather has been absolutely wild. We are on our 3rd, I think, unless I missed something. I believe we are on our 3rd heat advisory notice for this summer in Portland, which I don't remember ever happening before. I don't remember I've had, like, normally it's like once a summer we'll have a couple days of plus 100 degrees, you know, above that. But this summer, it's been 3 times. That seems excessive. I don't think Portland's built for that. Nobody has AC here. No one has, like, covered porches. Like, we're not equipped for this. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Twixie. You had to visit your dad in the hospital. Well, I know it's very stressful. I hope everything is okay. And I will keep them in my thoughts. Yes, excited to sit down for a stream once again. Thank you. The thing is massive. Oh, I was like, what? Yeah, the one. Yeah, this is, it's 54 ounces, but I normally overfill it, so it's like 60. This water bottle has changed my life. It's the only thing that makes it so I actually, like, drink enough water every day. Because I drink about a full one of those, and then I have, like, other liquid during the day. Like, I'll have tea or, like, you know, something when I have to take pills or whatever. And that's been really, really good to have. Highly recommend. It is plastic, which I don't love, but, you know, it's fine. Everything has plastic in it. It's not going to be fully avoided at this point in my life. I'm cooked. My lungs and my blood is filled with microplastics. So it is what it is to a certain extent. Yeah, oh, and read the rules and FAQ down below. I didn't say that part. There's just answers to common questions in there, links to resources. Usually we don't have too much of a problem of, like, getting super, like, common questions over and over again, but just in case you're, like, wanting to know something like how to talk to your partner about kink or, like, where to buy toys. Although I will have to update that now because Etsy is now no longer what it once was, sadly, so I may actually have to change that one. But a lot of the, you know, book recommendations, things like that, all going to be on there. Yeah, no, not 10:30. That would be way too late. That'd be like 1:30 a.m. East Coast. Well, actually, that would be like early morning for Europe, right? So, like, maybe that would actually work out. Maybe the Europeans want, like, a little breakfast stream at some point. Do you lay your head on the cooling pad? I mean, I don't. Not the dog one because it's big. Because it's like this. It's big for my head. But I on occasion I am known to take an ice pack and put it on the back of my neck. That does actually help quite a bit. I imagine a husky would really appreciate a dog cooling pad. I think they're more drawn to cold, so maybe a husky would actually stay on one, unlike my dog, who is, for all of her floof, a very wilderness, rough living kind of a dog. If anybody's good on my end, good. Yeah, it seems like everything's good now. I don't know if it was just like a fluke maybe when we first connected. I would love to know. Question for me, for all of you. I don't know why this happened, but it happened to more than one person I know. When I was on the YouTube homepage, I just, like, opened up YouTube. I think I was gonna, like, upload videos or something. And on the very front of, like, my recommendations bar, there were, like, normal videos. There was, like, what's to say for, none of the usual stuff I see. But then, like, the top recommendation, like, right bang on in the middle, was a live stream that was titled, like transparent lingerie try-on haul or something. And the thumbnail was, it was, like, rotated, like, 180 degrees, or, like, 90 degrees. And it was like an Asian lady pulling up her dress, and there literally you could see full bush. Like, it cut off at, like, where I assume you could maybe see her clitoris, but, like, it was full. Like, I have never in my life on the recommended homepage, well, searching for, like, if I search BDSM, I will see pornographic images, like, it just happens. But on the homepage recommended, like literal, like full genitalia recommended on the homepage. I could not believe my eyes. Did anyone else see that? Because I saw it, and then I talked to Pup Amp, and he also saw it. And like, I know a bunch of people that reported it, and like, it was still up. Like, I don't know what happened. Like, YouTube's crazy. YouTube's like, you said the word fuck in a video once, so we're gonna like age restrict it. And then like, somebody can have a thumbnail for a live stream that literally has like full vulva exposure, and they're like, we're gonna recommend that. That makes sense. I couldn't believe it. And then when I clicked on the video, it was like a video recording of like some people like fishing on a river. It was like not like, it was like a bait and switch thing, I think. I don't know. It was very strange. It was very, very weird. I saw that too, straight beaver. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. So other, like, so many people have seen that. Like, how many people were recommended that live stream? Like, I mean, I guess I understand why, like, it would be successful because of the novelty of it, of people, like, you know, I clicked on it to report it. So even if it's people going in just to, because you have to, like, navigate to the video to report it, I think, if you want to actually report something in the video itself. And, like, you know, if you have a couple hundred people doing that, suddenly you're going to have a live stream with, like, 4,000 viewers. So, or people hotly anticipating for some reason on YouTube specifically, I'm gonna go see Full Bush on YouTube. Like, you know, there's other websites for that, right? There's so many other places online you could go. Anyways, it was just so ridiculous. Like, it was very reminiscent of like old YouTube to me. Like back in the day when people would have like, not to that extent, but like clickbait thumbnails of like, lesbian kisses a man for the first time, and it would be like the whole thumbnail would just be like a woman and a man kissing, and that would be the whole thumbnail. And that was like what you did to like get 5 million views on YouTube, and like everyone did it and it worked. How times have changed. Apparently I missed something. Yeah. Well, like, I can say it in a live stream because I don't monetize my live stream, so I don't, like, I just, like, if I had to censor myself during a live stream, I would go mad. There are still some things I won't say, like, partly because there's an overlap between, like, words that are triggering for people and terms that YouTube doesn't like, and then in that case, I'll, like, kind of maybe go around the word, but for the most part, if it's a swear word, I'm probably going to say it, which is really just fuck, because I don't really say any other swear word besides that, to be honest. A friend used to watch those clothing hauls. I was like, on YouTube, and the don't swear videos on YouTube. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know I think that's still a genre that people do, the, like, clothing haul videos. I know a couple of people that do them for, like, latex and, like, kink stuff, but as far as I can tell, they're, like, I mean, I'm sure as much as they attract, you know, other types of viewers, they also seem to be legitimate in their own right of like, hey, this is like a really expensive piece of clothing that if you order it, it's going to take 3 months to get it at least. Like, you want to make sure it's going to be good quality. It's going to, you know, like be the color you think it's going to be. Like, I get that to a certain extent, but there is a level of tantalizing people in that as well. Yeah, Bandit loves cats. That's like the first thing she does when we go outside is she looks for cats. I'm not even kidding, because we have a neighbor that has outdoor cats, and like every single time she goes outside, that's the first thing she does, is she looks where she knows the cats are going to be, and she just stares. And if I leave her to do it, she'll do it for like 5 minutes. She'll just keep monitoring and be like, where are the cats? It's like her favorite. It's more than squirrels. Like, the squirrels are kind of passé at this point. It's the cats that are the big money, you know? Ooh, moved in my new condo yesterday, and there's still so much to do. Well, there's always a lot to do when you're moving. Congratulations. I hope you love it. I know condos can be a lot of work because you maybe have HOA dues or what. I don't know how or like, I guess it'd be condo, like, association fees, not like HOA fees. But hopefully you enjoy it. Good luck. Take your time. Take some rest. I know for me, like, I hate, like, having to, like, not unpack the boxes, but take care of all the boxes afterward is, like, the worst part. It's terrible, but good luck. Hopefully you get through it. Good time to have friends, offer them some pizza, get them dinner, watch a movie, hang out, you know, get your what do people ignore, like camping chairs, get your camping chairs out. Thanks for answering my questions about my uncle the past couple of streams. Neither of us have reached out in a while. I think he's embarrassed about last time 80K. I've looked into Dear Man now. Okay, well, now you're equipped for next time in case it does happen. If he is not reaching out, and that means that he's felt some level of embarrassment. It sounds like that might maybe it'll be helpful. Because, like, if he is actually, like, embarrassed, there's, like, an inherent degree of reflection and embarrassment. Like, people who don't reflect on their behavior, like, don't feel embarrassment. But people who do think about what they do and how it affects others, like, you know, it's why cringe exists. It's why we can cringe at ourselves and be like, ooh, I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have done that. No, I haven't put up the goal yet because I need to stop and type it, and I'm trying to make sure I get to some questions first before I do that. Ooh, speaking of non-sexual kink, me and my friend are going to get together with our respective doms and are going to have a pet play date. Ooh, that sounds fun. I'm a kitten and they're a puppy. Any suggestions for activities? Oh, yes. Let me think about this one because, like, one's a kitten and one's a pet. I feel like, or a puppy. I feel like the first thing that comes to my mind for that is laser pointers. I feel like both dogs and cats can really enjoy laser pointers, and it's something that both of your doms can do. Like, because a laser pointer is, like, really easy. They can literally just sit there and, like, be relaxing, sipping a whiskey or whatever, you know, do whatever they like to do, having a drink. And they can just, like, have the laser pointer and, like, be entertained by, like, the two of you trying to chase the laser. And, like, sometimes you catch it and sometimes you don't. Maybe you could have each dom have, like, a different color of a laser pointer. Obviously, you have to be careful with that because, like, getting a laser pointer, like, in your eyes is not great. So be careful with that one. But that would be what I would look for. Okay, I am setting up. All right, I am putting up the goal. The goal is there. But yeah, we do laser pointers. What else could, like, a cat and a dog do together? I mean, like, cats can be, like, I don't know. It depends on, like, your friend and, like, what kind of kitten play they're up to. But you could certainly do, like, I've known cats that can be, like, clicker trained and, like, do tricks. You could try that. A lot of cats and dogs, like, enjoy similar treats. So, like, I think cats normally it's, like, rabbit, fish, that kind of thing. But, like, you know, you're role playing, so it doesn't have to be that. You could do, like, eating, like, a sushi dinner off of a plate or something. That'd be fun. Is, like, if you're, I don't know if you're gonna have time to do that, but that could be a fun thing for a play date, is, like, having some sushi. Or what's the other, what do people get that's, like, it's like, is it like a sashimi bowl? Is that, like, when people get, like, all, like, the sliced, like, raw fish on top of rice and it's, like, a big bowl of it, but not, like, rolled sushi? I think that's or maybe I'm thinking of well, there's that, and then there's also a poke bowl, which is, like, a Hawaiian thing. You would also get that too. That would also be, like, a good snack to have. So I feel like playing around with that, or even something like a ball of yarn, right? Because, like, puppies, do they really know the difference between a ball of yarn and a tennis ball? Like, probably not really. Like, if it's green yarn, it's all the same. So, like, green yarn, because cats like to play with yarn balls, right? So you can have that. You can play around with the yarn ball and have it sort of be like, oh, is it like a tennis ball? Are we throwing it? Is it like fetch? Or, like, is the cat going to want to just, like, play with it? So I don't really know a lot about cat behavior, so I'm not confident in, like, telling you things that a cat would also enjoy. But I think it could be funny also to have a dynamic where, like, the cat can get up on the furniture and, like, perch on, like, the chairs or on a sofa or something, and, like, the dog can't get to him because, like, dogs can't, like, jump or climb that way. I think that could be fun too. So those are sort of my ideas for what I would do. I think if you wanted a structure activity to do, I would probably look at doing some kind of, like, trick training thing. Because, like, if a cat is food motivated enough, they will work for treats. They will have their own timer for when they're done doing that. But they're willing to do it. They're willing to do it. Yeah, sashimi. You'd have to ask Bandit what you do with her cat, best friend forever. I think, honestly, in my... because she has, like, been around cats quite a bit. She mostly just wants to smell them. Like, because I think she thinks they're, like, tiny, fluffy things. And her brain is like, it looks familiar, but it smells so different, and she just wants to sit there and smell them, and then she wants to just kind of be around them and, like, watch them from like a near distance, like a couple feet away, and then like be really excited and like watch what they're doing, and then like wag her tail like real slowly because she's like watching them do stuff, and then kind of like shake because she's so excited about it. That would be what I would look for. Thank you, Evan. I appreciate that. Evan says, start the ball rolling for Bandita Cuddles. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, now I can heart it. Oh, that's so cool. Okay. I don't think they had that feature last time I did this. Now I can heart comments. Can I do that with like regular comments? No, it's just for super chats. Interesting. I don't know why there's a difference there, but it is a thing apparently. My old cat used to play fetch with hair bands. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's another thing too, right? Because those are also like easy DIY stuff. Probably even if somebody in the arrangement has long enough hair, you probably have somebody who already has hair bands and you can just like flick them and have them chase after them. That's fun too. A pet toy I'm always eyeing are plush toys. There's one shaped like a fish and I do want it because it looks like the actual fish. Oh yeah. Like there's definitely toys that both like dogs and like smaller cats can play with too. If you like toys. I'm thinking about dolphin pet play, but I swim. I mean, like, you could be a dolphin. No one can stop you. I mean, don't do it in like the community pool, maybe. Maybe don't do it where people can film you. But like, if you have access to a pool that's relatively private, or like, you know, you can go to like a private creek or something, or you can get one of those like inflatable temporary pools for the backyard. You know, do what you want. No, I can't stop you. Be a dolphin. Be a mermaid. People love mermaids. I'm like shocked by the number of people that have come up with mermaid stuff as like a roleplay concept. It is a thing. People like doing pirate mermaid stuff. It's an untapped area. It's a very niche area, but it is one nonetheless. Cats and dogs that grow up together play well together. Mostly true. Yeah, I think that's probably accurate. I like the idea that cats and dogs have inherent rules for what toys they can and can't play with. Yeah, I know, it's very gendered, right? Like, I guess I'm more coming at it from the perspective of, like, I don't know what, like, a cat would enjoy playing with. Like, for example, like, I never met a dog that's, like, cared about, like, one of those, like, feather on a string toys that's, like, on the stick, the feather stick toys. I've never met a dog that cares about that at all, but cats seem to really like it. So I don't know if, like, a cat would, like, care about like a tug rope or like a tennis ball. So that's what I more mean. It's not like there's some kind of gender essentialism to cats. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Sending love to you and Bandita. I appreciate that. Thank you. I usually say Bandita when I say it out loud because like saying her legal name is like her like sleeper activation word, and if I say it, she's gonna like beeline toward me, so I try to just be relaxed with it. She has a nickname, and she has her real full legal, I guess probably technically government name. All right, let's see more questions. Oh, and by the way, if you want to make it so I answer your question right away, the best way to do that is with a super chat. You can do it towards the goal, or you can just do it in general if for some reason you're like, I don't care about dog cuddles, screw the rules. So you can also just like do a regular super chat, and I will answer your question as soon as I finish up with whatever question I'm on, or I'll just get to it next if I'm like between questions. Ooh, let me... I think I spent way too much money on my like radio controlled airplanes, my FLR. So like I don't know why it took me a minute to process that. As female-led relationship, like so like female dominant partner basically. Girlfriend spending my spending privileges, but she wants me to suggest further punishment for me, looking for painful / humiliating ones. Any ideas? Oh my gosh, so many ideas. I mean, it's difficult without knowing you. Like, if you're a masochist at all, doing a pain-based punishment can be tricky because the things that you consent to are likely to be the things that you enjoy having. So if you're really into spanking, like, don't do spanking as like a pain-based based punishment, because that's not really going to teach you anything. But you might be a masochist who like really loves spanking but like hates whips, or you really like stingy and you hate thuddy, or you really like, you know, I don't know, you like tickle torture but you're not into paddles, like, or maybe you like paddles but not wooden paddles, so you can get really granular with it. I recommend, if you are going to like convert a toy into like a punishment toy, I mean, I guess it depends on how you're mentally processing it, but generally for people, if you're going to have some kind of physical pain-based punishment in a relationship, I do recommend having a set toy to do that with. That's like, this is the punishment toy. Like, people will have like a evil spoon, like Mr. Angry spoon or something, that's like a wooden kitchen spoon or something that is just for punishment. And the reason for that is, like, even if you want a punishment because you want the rules of your relationship to be enforced and you like that feeling of giving up power to your partner that way, and you like want to be able to learn the lessons you're trying to learn, you don't want to taint your fun playtime toys with the serious punishment toys, because like over time you develop an association with each, and like if you do a bunch of like really fun subspacey scenes with like a flogger, you want to be able to maintain it that way and not kind of have these other maybe more negative, embarrassing, humiliating thoughts associated with that, if like that's not part of your like desired kink mental experience wheelhouse. And then as well, if you are going to be doing something with implements, again, make sure you're negotiating for it. Safe words are a thing still when you're doing punishments. Definitely talk about it. But also, it doesn't have to be like a really big, long, drawn-out punishment. Like, it could be kind of going back to hair bands, right? Or like rubber bands. You could like have a rubber band on your wrist and then have to like flick it like a couple times and like slap yourself on the wrist. But for non-physical forms of pain, I mean, even with like physical forms of pain, there's stuff that's not like impact play related, right? So you could look at like temperature play, because like that could be painful. Like, something I've seen a number of people do is like they'll make their partner like hold ice cubes and then hold their hands overhead, and then you get like the tiredness of having to hold your arms over your head, and the ice is dripping onto your head, which is also annoying. And then you have that like temperature differential of like the cold from the ice cubes and like the rest of your body temperature, and that can also be out of sorts. Or having to hold your arms in like a bucket of ice water, that's another good one. That's not going to leave any kind of marks or anything. It's probably not something you're going to do in a play scene, but you basically, your partner can say like, all right, I'm getting out this like Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever bucket of ice water, and you're going to hold your arms in it until you can't do it anymore. And I'm going to like set a timer to see how long that like you can last. And like, it's, you just keep your hands in there for as long as you like possibly can. And like that's also like quite painful, but isn't necessarily impact play related. That's sort of what I would be looking for. As far as like humiliation, I think keeping with emotional stuff, or mental stuff, or even like stuff like writing lines or writing an apology letter, I think keeping it as close to the infraction as possible is good. Like, I'm sort of picturing doing like almost like a schoolhouse type of scene. You got like a paper hat for like a dunce cap, and then you have like maybe a little whiteboard, and you have to write lines that, maybe you say like, I don't know, I'm irresponsible with money, or like, I'm a disappointment because I'm irresponsible with money, or something, having to repeat that, and then just like write it over and over and over and over again until your like partner is satisfied with that. And keeping it to something again that's related to what the infraction was. So like, that's probably about like spending money, how frivolous you are, how impulsive you are, like communicating that that's not something that your partner finds like attractive or appealing and is like disappointing, I think is something that a lot of people are motivated by when they hear it in a punishment to do better next time. So, but all of this requires like talking to your partner, negotiating, and make sure it's like within your personal scope of what's comfortable. But that would be what I would look for. Or we could even combine the two, right? Like, you could do something where like maybe you're doing a caning scene, and then like after every cane stroke, you have to like say like, "Mistress, I'm sorry for being so like silly about my money," or something, you know. So that would be another option too if you want to kind of get both in there, and that actually might be the most effective if you want to have one or the other. Putting them both together might communicate more of what you're trying to get to. My husband Dom and I use the rubber band and the wrist trick when we're doing behavior training. It's also really good because it's discreet. You don't make a lot of noise as a requiring implements, and you can do it to yourself. So your partner can like be busy doing something and like notice that you did something wrong and then like tell you like snap yourself with a rubber band, and then like, you know, they could tell if you do it or not, but then they can keep going about their business, and it's, you know, they're reminding you of the place in the house. I think that's actually effective too, like that, the cultivated level of obedience where like you're even doing your own punishment sometimes because like your dom has delegated that to you, both because of the trust in the relationship, but also because it's like, I don't even deign to like touch you physically when I should punish you because I'm like so embarrassed by like your inability to live up to my standards. Mm-hmm. I make a etiquette faux pas, I get a snap. Oh yeah. Yeah, if you, you know, put your elbows on the table, if you don't say please and thank you, if you forget a title, yeah, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you for sharing. Great ideas. Because, like, the world of punishments is so vast. I will also say, Chris, if you want more ideas, if you just search, if you go to my homepage, you just, like, if you're watching this, right, like, click on Evie Lupine, like, where, you know, you see my channel name. Click on that, and then go to the search bar, like, that's in my channel, and search for punishment. I know I probably have at least 4, possibly more, videos on different types of punishments. And I also have a number of other videos that are not explicitly only about punishment where I talk about it as well. So look for that. Hopefully you'll find something that's helpful for you in there as well if, you know, you're looking for more than just what I suggested, but that would be where I would start. But thank you for your question. Oh, did I set it to 10? I didn't mean to do that. Can I edit it? No, I can't. Okay, that's fine. I meant to set it to 5. I forgot to, I was like, why does it say 10? And I looked over that. That's fine. Well, if it gets to 5, I'll still do the bandit cuddle. That's what I meant to set it to. We'll honor it despite what YouTube says. I saw that vid just some hour ago. It's so baffling. A lot of the things are non-sexual, but still counts as mature, as in not for kids. Yes, exactly. Like, I feel like, I don't know if this is specifically Tumblr, because I don't really see this happening other places. I feel like not safe for work and safe for work are used in like truly baffling ways, and like non-sexual is taken to mean it's like kid appropriate, and sexual means it's not for kids, because like on the internet you're not really like drinking alcohol or like doing drugs, right? So like maybe they just aren't thinking about it in like, they're just so terminally online, they're not thinking about like real world implications of things they say. It's very weird. And as somebody said, and I was thinking this, but I don't think I said it explicitly in the video, like, if somebody is, I think if somebody is saying, like, kink should always be, like, non-sexual, and if it's not, you're doing something wrong, or you're, like, lying to yourself, that, to me, actually feels like something that's, like, a more dangerous idea, because I think that's going to end up pressuring people who don't do kink sexually. Like, if they're younger, like, let's say they're like 18, they're just getting into the scene for the first time, they're experimenting with kink for the first time. They might see that and like be convinced by somebody else that like, oh, well, you know, everybody who's a submissive, you know, they always give their partner a blowjob after a scene, or like sex always happens during aftercare. Like that ends up creating this idea that like, well, if you're going to do kink, it has to involve sex. And if you like don't do that, you're not really doing kink. And if people want to be in a community, if they want to like feel like something is like a valid identity for them, especially when they're younger and they're kind of taking on new ways of identifying for the first time, like they might try really hard to conform to that because they don't want to like mess up and like not count as a real kinkster. So I actually think that that can be quite dangerous for people, because there's already like this is why it's so baffling to me, because a lot of the people leaving comments on this are not like in the kink community. I don't think a lot of people realize how, in some community spaces, not all, but a lot, how ubiquitous the pressure to do sex things can be for people. Like, if you're brand new, like fairly attractive, like honestly, it doesn't have, like, you don't have to be supermodel. You could be like, in the realm of the manosphere, you could be like a 6 and above, you know, if you are reasonably attractive to at least some people, but honestly just younger and new. If you come into the scene, there's going to be probably at some point at least one guy who sends you a FetLife message or approaches you at a party or some other thing that will try to explicitly talk to you about like doing sexual things. Or even if they don't do it then, like maybe they're really flattering, they talk to you, they seem trustworthy, you do a scene together. After the scene, they might try to spring something on you, or they may try to like up negotiate, like, oh, if you want to do a second scene with me, like now we're gonna have to do this. That was just a trial, and if you want to do real BDSM, like we have to take it to the next level and like be okay with sex. And that is such a common problem. I cannot imagine people being like, yeah, that's like definitely how kink should be, and you're denying reality if you think it could be literally anything else. Like, it just is. It just can be. Like, you don't get to argue with it. I'm sorry, people of Tumblr. There is no arguing on this point. It is just a fact that some people experience BDSM non-sexually and are in the community and identify as such and have for a long time, and nobody in the kink community has a problem with it. It's like outside people who do not have a horse in this race that for some reason have a problem with it. Like, you're making a problem that nobody in the community actually had. You just anointed yourself problem maker, problem identifier, problem persecutor even. I don't know where people get off on that. I just think it's like, as much as like Twitter is a cesspool of like the weird things, on Tumblr I find there's like genuinely the most baffling like sexual takes. Cause like Twitter is like rad femmes, right? Twitter is like rad femmes who are talking about like how participating in CNC is like anti-feminist. Like, okay, that's expected. That's not a new idea. That's like been talked about since the 80s. That's not really broaching new territory. And because Twitter is kind of home to like J.K. Rowling and like a lot of people that are more on that side of the philosophy aisle, let's say, that is not a surprising thought. But Tumblr comes up with like new and novel ways to be completely wrong about a topic for communities they're not a part of in a way I have genuinely not seen in any other social media platform. Like, it is bananas, truly bananas. Yeah, definitely there's a manipulation. And I want to be clear here. I'm trying to recognize that it is an issue. I don't want to scare anyone out of like going to a party or going to events because it's like guaranteed that like somebody's going to coerce you into doing something. That's not the case at all. Different communities are different. The BDSM world's very segmented still. There is the chance that there could be one community that's very bad for that, and then the next one, the next town over, is like totally different, and it's like very affirming and sex positive and has like a zero tolerance policy for stuff like that. So you can't like judge everything just on like a very small sample. I'm trying to say as a warning, because it does happen, and this is part of the reason why I think it's so important to go into things like knowing how to communicate your boundaries and being willing to stick up for yourself, and being very cautious about falling into like something like sub frenzy that people can take advantage of. And that's why I think education is so important, because if you take time beforehand or even at the beginning of your process to like read blogs, watch videos, learn from other people, go to like social events like Munches, you're going to go in with a lot more knowledge, and because you have that additional knowledge, you're going to be more equipped to know how to handle yourself and to be able to stick up for yourself and realize if somebody says a truism like, you know, everyone does sex during aftercare, or, you know, real masochists always, you know, orgasm during their scenes, or whatever, you know, insane thing somebody's come up with. Like, you can know in the knowledge you have gained beforehand, that's not true, because you've talked to people, you've read the books, you've watched videos, you've gone to blogs, you've read the forum posts, you've gone on FetLife, whatever, and like enough people in enough places hopefully have told you that like kink is as sexual as you want it to be. You can make of it whatever you want. You can only you do not have to suddenly become submissive to any dominant who approaches you. Like, you get to have full consent and say over who you are actually doing kink things with. Oh, Jesus. 0. Did my stream just like completely drop out? Oh my God. YouTube, what is going on today? It's the second time that's happened. Can people still see me? I didn't actually, like, normally if OBS disconnects, it pops up with a notice. Oh, no, there it is. Yep, there it is. It just popped up. Okay, people can still see me. Okay, great. That was such a, I've never had, it went all the way down to like 0 kilobits per second. And I was like, oh no, it's gonna freeze and drop the stream. It didn't though, so we're all good. All right, thank you all for letting me know. Oh, do you have any insight on the Neil Gaiman accusations? Or allegations, rather. I do not at this point. Actually, it's funny you asked this because I posted about this on Instagram earlier today. But I am planning to talk about the allegations against Neil Gaiman. I don't know if it's Gaiman or Gaiman. Somebody help me. I don't know. I am planning to talk about that in a video. It'll probably be a while out because there's a couple of videos I'm working on first that are in the same wheelhouse. So, like, for example, like Armie Hammer, man who, like, was an actor and then had a bunch of accusations against him for, like, consent violation and, like, scarring people and, like, cannibalism fantasies and, like, cheating on his wife and, like, it's that guy. He is doing a redemption, like, press circuit, so I'm going to talk about that. Marilyn Manson just released a song for the first time since the allegations against him came out, and there's been several court updates that I've not covered yet. And the thing I'm going to be covering next is there is, and this, you guys, maybe you don't remember this one because it was a while ago now, and it wasn't, like, a national news story, but there was a BDSM cult in Australia, I think in Adelaide, or like on the outskirts of Adelaide, where there was a guy who was charged with and arrested on like 60-something counts for a bunch of stuff. He was accused of like consent violations, like the Australian equivalent to like false imprisonment and like forcing somebody into slavery. It was really bad. It was actually like a big news story. There was actually like an expose, like documentary about it on Four Corners, which is like a really big deal. And he was released on bail. And then in January, either all of or most of the charges against him were dropped. And then I'm not gonna talk about this because it's intense. But rest assured, while he was out on bail, he immediately committed more crimes. Like, literally immediately. Like, he was... Like, it's so, like... Oh, my God. Like, and then I found a real gold mine, which is I found a social media account of his that he uses, or was using until he got arrested again, under a false name that is like full to the brim of like, it's like being in his head. Like, it's almost like he treated it like a diary. It's like very revealing, very, very revealing. So I'm talking about that. And then probably either I'll probably do the Neil video first and then I'll do Marilyn Manson. But that's sort of what we're on the docket for, that kind of topic. Especially because it does still seem like there are more allegations against Neil coming out. I don't want to be kind of stuck in the thing where I did with Marilyn Manson, where like every week I had to make a video because like there was a new allegation, there was something new happening. So I want to kind of work on that one and then just kind of wait and see if anything else comes out, anything else develops, so I can kind of hit it all at once if possible. Thank you, Andrew. Another frustrating thing about this is if you are someone that does derive sexual pleasure from kink, they could also use it as evidence, like, well, you find it sexual, so it must be 100%. That is also very accurate. You get people that'll, like, it's like, if you ever see a statement that has the word always in it, like, the sky is always blue, or, like, all macaroni and cheese is delicious. Like, there will always be edge cases where that's not true. Like, when you have 100% cloud cover and like the sky, like what you're visually seeing in, like, it could be gray, right? It could be white if it's like really foggy outside and snowing or whatever. Like, you know, like, people have opinions about whether or not Kraft macaroni and cheese is delicious. Like, subjective internal experiences, you will like never get to 100%. You might get to 99%. You might get to 90%, but you're never going to get to 100%. So that on its face is silly. Actually, I saw someone that when they reblogged it, they included a diagram, and they were like, I made a diagram for people who are like bad at reading comprehension, and they just circled the always in like red pen over and over and over again, and it's like, yep, that's what it is. We're not saying it has to be non-sexual, or that if it's sexual for one person, it is for everyone, but just that, like, there's just diversity of experience. That's it. Thank you.
Dickman donated $10. Bandit Cuddle. Here's to calmer streams and more acceptance.
I also
BSDM can be hard even at the best of times.
Oh yeah. Like, I agree with that. All right, it's Banditi Cuddle time. Where is she? Bandita. Hi, sweet girl. Want to come over here? Want to come over here, sweetie? Yeah, good girl. There we go. Get your stretches on. Come here. Come here. Come here, good girl. Yes, good girl. Okay, we get some belly rubs first. We get some belly rubs first. Come here. Oh. Actually, one more. I actually need to charge this. This way doesn't rattle around super loud. Look at this. Look at this smiling face. Look at that smiling face. Hello. Hello, Angel. How are you? It's hot outside, huh? You have a full bowl of water. You should probably drink some of it. I know. Hi. If I'm editing a video, chances are this is how I'm sitting. Chances are I have my co-editor with me, and she is hanging out on the chair, helping me out, letting her creative thoughts about my decision making be known. Look at this. Look at the face. Look at the face. Oh, so good. Yes. Yes. She really needs like a chin rest. That's like her one criteria, is she needs to have a chin rest. So usually that's my arm or the desk. Yes. Boop, boop, boop. So funny. Boop. 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 Yeah. You put up with my nonsense? You put up with my nonsense? Yeah, you do. You're just happy. You're just happy, girl. She is truly in heaven. Every day is being in heaven if Bandita's around. Yeah. Every day is heaven. Some days are more like heaven when there's more cats outside. Or when there's more treatses. When the humans give treatses. Yeah. All right, I will, as long as she wants to stay up here, I'll just keep her on my lap while we answer some questions. How about that? Just another cool doggo trying to stay cool. Yep, that's what you are. Trying to stay cool. Although, to be fair, she always pants like this because she is a weak trachea, so it just sort of like happens. But it is cute. Yeah. Okay, this is what she does. She like... Eventually, at some point, she like leans over and she like finds a chin rest on a right there, basically. She's like resting her chin on my armrest on my computer. All right, let's see. Yes, so if you don't know, I will say this. So I know very little bit about the allegations against Neil Gaiman. I at least one person told me that there was some kink element to them. I haven't read into it enough to know, but it seems to involve meeting young fans and then taking advantage of his status as an author to be able to meet people and like pressuring them into sexual things like because of that. That's like broad strokes what I think is happening. Don't take my word for it, but if you haven't heard, I think it's 4 people at this point, possibly more. It could have been that there's like each allegation there's more than one person involved, but I think that there's like 4 people at this point that have made allegations that go back like many years at this point until like very recently. So it's not just like, oh, it's a one person saying something and like who knows, they could have an agenda. Like when it gets to the point where there's allegations that span like four people, half a dozen people, 10, 20 plus years, like there's a pattern there that needs to be looked at. I'm not saying he's like 100% like guilty of everything he's being accused of without even looking into it yet. I'm just saying this to me is a tell that like something is going on. Like if you have that many people that consistently over years and years, like, yeah. Also, like popular authors, much like people on social media, you know, famous influencers, movie stars, like they have really big fandoms. And if you're a guy and you really want to like smooch on some ladies, it's real easy to find, you know, 18, 19, 20-year-olds that are like, I love your work, you're my favorite author, you inspire me to write, you changed my life, you saved me. And then like, you know, paying attention to them and then parlaying their starstruck attitude into like something more than that, and in a way that like maybe at the time they feel okay with, and then as they got older maybe they reflected on it more and they go, well, you know, that wasn't actually so okay. Actually, that made me feel kind of gross, and like I was drunk and I was, you know, playing with alcohol and I was 20 years old. Like, again, not saying he did that in this case, but that's like a common MO for situations of this type. Yeah. I just don't understand why these allegations always come at once. Like, was it buried before this? Do journalists just decide to talk about it at once? I mean, from my understanding, and I'm not a journalist, so I don't know. My understanding is, like, oftentimes it's like one person off, like, they're usually going through some kind of life thing. Like, maybe they get to, like, the age that their abuser was at the time the abuse happened. Maybe they have kids or they have grandkids, and because of that, it changes their perspective, and they go, whoa, like, how could somebody do that thing to me? You know, because I'm in this position now where I have this, like, young person I'm taking care of, or I'm the age they were, and, like, I'm thinking about the age I was at the time. Like, that seems really gross. And they just sort of reflect on it, and there's something in it that just, like, makes people go, I need to talk about this now, even though I've been holding on to it for a very long time. Oftentimes it can also be related to, like, something big happening, like maybe somebody got like a contract for a really big movie, or they got like a new publishing deal, or like somebody's going to be turning their book into a movie, or you know, they got some kind of like really big award, right? They got like a lifetime achievement award. And then seeing that and seeing somebody who like abused you, coerced you, did something against your will, like, you see that and you like suddenly you can't like tolerate it anymore. Like, I think with like Andrew Callahan, for example, who like was a YouTuber, still is a YouTuber, who makes videos on Channel 5 News, I think. And he had allegations against him come out because he was getting this like really big HBO special, and he was about to break into like mainstream entertainment news coverage and journalism. And the person, I think they maybe hadn't realized to that point like the extent of Andrew's rising fame, and because they saw him like getting to that point, they were like, I don't want to like give him even more access to people that he could cause harm against, because this is only going to make him more popular, and if he has a pattern of behavior that's very unlikely to stop when somebody gets more famous and more wealthy and has more access to people. Like, that's just like probably not gonna happen. Combine that with the cultures in LA, NYC, and London that makes that an acceptable thing in artistic circles. Hollywood is especially bad. Yeah. Like, for example, like Kat Black has talked about the fact that, like, when she was quite young and did not have support from her family, like, she found a lot of comfort from, like, older men who were, you know, willing to pay lip service to validating her and making her feel wanted and, like, financially supporting her. And, like, you know, now looking back on it, that was, like, very, like, not okay. And I think even now in a lot of places that's still, like, okay to do, because it's like, well, but they're both getting something out of it, or, like, you know, because he's so popular and he has so much money and he's, like, financially supporting her, he, like, you know, bought her these gifts or whatever, like, she owes him. Like, she's a gold digger. She's trying to use him for his money. And it's like, I don't know how to tell people this. Buying someone a plane ticket does not entitle you to sexual intercourse. Buying someone an apartment or a vacation or like, you know, jewelry or whatever thing, you know, that doesn't entitle you to access to their body. Like, that's not, like, no. No. Like, what? Like, it's very silly, but people are silly, so it's a thing that people do. In the UK, oh yeah, with Hugh Edwards. I saw that, the Hugh Edwards story. Yeah, in the UK, one of the BBC News presenters had a bunch of allegations against him, and I think it was involving children. God, I can't with stuff. Yeah, there was like I think it was over the course of the pandemic. There was other allegations. Somebody, like, put in an anonymous tip, and I don't think anything came out of that tip originally. But then there was an investigation happening on a different guy in a different part of the UK. And as part of that investigation, they got part of his, like, all maybe of his phone records. And in his phone records, he had communication with Hugh Edwards. And then in those messages, it was revealed that Hugh Edwards had obtained illegal images of minors. Let's just say it like that. And funnily enough, I think one of the messages that Hugh put in there was like, don't send me anything illegal, which is like, if you're asking for photos of minor children of a certain persuasion, like, it's gonna be illegal, Hugh. I don't know what to tell you. It was very strange. I don't know what's come out of that, but I know that was the guy, like, if you've seen anybody, like, clip where they announced that Queen Elizabeth II passed, like, and just moments ago, like, the royal, like, the royal house just announced the passing of Queen Elizabeth. And, like, that's, like, a very, like, he was, like, a real, I don't know what kind of news presenter to compare him to, but he was, like, the face of the evening news for a lot of people in the UK for a very long time. And I don't know, I guess it'd be kind of like if something happened with, like, Anderson Cooper. Like, it would be like if Anderson Cooper had allegations against him. Like, for the most part, really well-liked, respected, been in the business for a long time, a face that all people know from a very popular network. And, yeah. All right. You ready to go, baby? Okay. All right. We say goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye, baby. Yeah, there we go. Okay. There we go. Yeah. Okay. She is free. The Bandita is free. So disappointed. I really do love his writing. Why? Because money and power corrupt people, and when you're a man of a certain persuasion and you get a high level of influence and a lot of money and no one stops you and everyone's a yes man around you, then you start making bad decisions. And then I think oftentimes it starts, I imagine originally there's probably some thought of like, I probably shouldn't be doing this. Like, 50-year-old meeting up with a 18-year-old fan after a book signing in a hotel room. Like, is that really something I should be doing? And then you realize so many of your peers are doing it, and you'd be a fool to not take advantage. And like, well, if she says yes, I mean, she's not a minor. She can make her own decisions. You know, that's like the whole rhetoric, how it goes. And then you do it like once, and you get away with it, and it's fun and it's cool. And then you do it again, you get away with it, and it's fun and it's cool. And then you just like do it again and again, and like no one ever tells you no. No one ever flees the room screaming. Like, no one in your circle calls you out for it or says, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're just going to keep doing it. And because you've convinced yourself of like you have some heuristic you follow. Like, and this is true for like many crimes. A lot of people, especially ones that involve like sexual violation, like there's this idea that like, well, but I'm not actually really doing anything bad because look at these other people that are doing things worse than me. And actually what I'm doing is fine because everyone that I'm interacting with, is, above the age of consent, and they like me and they said yes. And, or like, well, they said yes, but they were drunk, but like, that's just what happened at the time. Like, it was just normal. Everyone did it. Like, that's kind of what they'll convince themselves of. And then for every layer underneath that, there's the next guy will also say, well, like, I mean, they were 15, but like the age of consent shouldn't really exist. And like, that's silly. Like, they were mature for their age. And like, you just go on down the list of like depravity, and like, even down to the very lowest levels, like people will be like, actually, it's fine because, whatever thing. Until you get to something that is truly, genuinely indefensible. And then normally that's where you find the people that are like actually like clinically incapable of feeling any sort of empathy or regret for their decisions. Yes, I'm aware that the BBC is the main broadcasting channel. I'm a Channel 4 girly. I'm a Channel 4 girly through and through. Like, I watch Channel 4 almost every day. That's why I know about the Hugh Edwards thing. I don't really know about their reputation within the UK itself, but their election coverage and their general news coverage is, it is much more acceptable to my ears than most of the American coverage of things going on in the world. So that tends to be what I listen to for the most part. Oh my God. Can we talk about the cuck tent? What's a cuck tent? God, what is a cuck tent? Is that I'm Googling it. I regret to inform you the cuck tent is racist. Oh, yeah. Twilight thing. I remember that now. Oh God, I don't know, because that was the ContraPoints, right? That was ContraPoints. Oh my God, the cuck tent. I regret to inform you the cuck tent is racist. Listen, if you have not watched ContraPoints covering Twilight, you are missing out. It is a fantastic sensory, auditory experience. It is a learning opportunity. I literally felt my brain cells multiply. I didn't lose brain cells. I gained more brain cells by watching that video. I'm a better person for having watched ContraPoints talk about Twilight for like 3 hours. Probably, honestly, my favorite video essay on YouTube. And that's, like, I watch a lot of video essays. I watch a lot of stuff. Like, there's probably, like, maybe, like, FD Signifier gets close with a couple of videos. Maybe, like, a Jacob Geller video in there. But Twilight, ContraPoints, it's such a powerful duo. It's hard to say no. I heard that Ella Hollywood is apparently a groomer. I don't even know who's that. How are there so many people doing terrible things? I'm gonna guess. Oh, that's why I don't know about it. It's because it's somebody who works in the adult industry. I've heard, not about that person specifically, but I have heard of a number of people in the industry that have very bad reputations and do not respect consent, which is very unfortunate given the nature of the work, but it's also not, that cuck tent, the Twilight cuck tent. Lest we forget. Where can I find the link? To the video or something else? I can link to the ContraPoint ones, but I have to search for it. You can also just like look up ContraPoint. Honestly, if you just search for Twilight on YouTube, I'm sure it's going to be like the top search results. I can also recommend the Twilight video. I was talking about that video with some friends in a munch earlier. Oh, it's a great one. It's good. It's good conversation. Actually considered, and I may still do this at some point, but it's like it's a meaty topic, and like I have too many other meatier news topics to cover, so I'm not going to go there quite yet. But I did at one point think about doing a video after it came out of like what ContraPoints can teach us about kink, like talking about some of the ideas in the Twilight video that I think, though they're ostensibly about not the kink world. I think they apply very well to exploring like kink or even like polyamory and stuff, and like understanding why people are into it and like the dominant and submissive roles. Because maybe in the totality of it, because it's been a while since I watched it, there's a lot in that about like masculinity and femininity and like, you know, what people are like attracted to in the media they consume and like romance novels. I think a lot of that's like very applicable to like why people are into kink and like gendered expectations for kink and like what it's a little mind-blowing. It's a little mind-blowing. Oh yes, the sporking of Twilight. I'm sure that was, honestly, I'm sad to see LiveJournal go, but at the same time, you know, everything's meant to pass, and we had a good run of it with all the sporkings of popular books. Imagine, I'm sure somebody's done this. Imagine if we still had like sporking and people were like sporking Colleen Hoover novels. Imagine what we would gain as a society. I love Mooncat. I'm watching Mooncat since like, probably her like Meghan Markle videos. A long time. Love Mooncat. I'm not sure what is my favorite Mooncat video. Honestly, I've referenced her videos quite a lot in some of my videos about the manosphere, but she has a couple that are about like debunking body language analysis and debunking the manosphere. Those ones are both really good. They're really, really good. And she's hilarious. She's very funny. And she makes music for the videos, which if you're a music nerd, you'll probably appreciate that. She always puts her own spin on it. But I've seen basically all of them. People need to calm down about how other people have fun. If it's not non-consensual or harming people, who cares? Speaking on the non-consensual kink discourse. Oh, yeah. It's get a grip, people. Come on, people. Let other people have fun. That's my opinion. Honestly, that should really be all we have to say is let other people have fun. There you go. Like, there are, as much as I don't like the argument that, like, there's more important things in the world, like, because obviously we can pay attention to more than one thing at a time. As much as I don't like that, I think it is true that sometimes, for your own mental well-being, if nothing else, it is better to just disconnect, and if something makes you angry or upset, you don't understand it, just, like, don't engage with it. Like, I even though I do watch like Channel 4 every day and like I do keep up with the news generally and I'm exposed to it a lot just from my job and being on Twitter, like I have greatly reduced my news consumption the last couple weeks and now I listen to audiobooks instead. And it's actually been really good for my mental health, I think, to have that because it's like more fun and engaging, and I feel that that's better long term. It helps me with the balance of it's not only ever all just like news and people being hateful, and I think that's important for preserving what remains of my brain cells. Sporking was of its time, but there's some great stuff out there. I'm afraid to ask what the term means. Oh, sporking? I'm not sure what the origin of the term sporking is. I remember reading it at one point, but it escapes me now because it was years ago. But essentially, sporking is like roasting something. Sporking is when, in text, on LiveJournal, you are typically chapter by chapter reading a book to absolute filth. You are dragging the authors, you are dragging the prose, the narrative, the characterization, everything. Like, normally there's some kind of point system involved where, like, you track things. It's very involved. And it's very entertaining. There's also a lot of sporking. This is how I actually got exposed to 50 Shades of Grey, is my roommate in college was reading a sporking of 50 Shades of Grey, and she thought it was so funny. She showed it to me, and we were like reading it together for a while, and it was quite entertaining because at the time I was getting started in kink, and like they were very much not. So it was funny. And I always remember this, that one of the people that did the sporking of 50 Shades of Grey that I read, they had a line somewhere either in their blog or in the sporking itself where they dedicated something to their dentist, and they're like, dedicated to my dentist, who one time didn't give me enough Novocaine and has given me the most pleasant memory of my entire life. Like, apparently, for some reason, they had like kind of a fetish for like dental stuff and like pain from dentistry, and like it was a pleasant memory they revisited often late at night. And something for everybody, people. There's something for everybody. So, and that was the day I learned how expansive the kink world could truly be. Sorry, this is really off topic, but do you know of any big cons or events for BDSM sapphic people? Oh, I do. There's one in California. What is that called? Is it Boundless? I know there's one in... There's one in California. It may not be Boundless. I want to say I can picture the logo. Maybe it's not Boundless. I don't think it's Boundless. There's one, though, that's in California, and I don't remember the name of it. Oh my gosh, what is it? Okay, give me a second. California. Is it from... I think the Exiles put it on? Ba-dum. It's yes. I know they have other events, but as far as like sapphic stuff, I would look for queer women's leather community. So that would be, let's see, there's the Hard Pink Sisterhood, there's the Exiles. If you're a person of color, there's Onyx Pearls, and there's another one that's specifically for all women of color. Like if you're indigenous, if you're Asian or mixed or any combination, there's another Onyx chapter that I don't remember the abbreviation for, that is for all different types of women. But try to find like leather events for queer women. That is probably going to be your best bet. Oh, here we go. Is this it? Did I find it? Yes. Here we go. I found it. I'll put a link. It's on Forbidden Tickets. But the Exiles, they do quite a number of events, at least online. And this is like their big thing. I think they started doing this like last year. There may be another one I'm thinking of too. But this is a big thing. And it's already happened for this year. But other events from Exiles are probably forthcoming. I cannot find anything other than parties. Well, the queer women events, like the leather community, they tend to be more education focused, so like munches, discussion groups, online classes, things of that sort, not necessarily play parties. Play parties are actually a lot less common, but that would be where I would look. Depending where you live, though, like I have to be honest, if you're in like Minnesota, there may not be a very big like sapphic kink community near you. It seems to be very regional. Like there's a pretty big sized one in Portland, actually. There's a pretty big sized one obviously in like San Francisco, the Bay Area, Los Angeles, New York, kind of the main metro hubs. I think probably DC too, there's a big one, but a little small town, less so than the gay men's community, but it's still out there. You just might have to travel a little bit for it or not get to participate as often. What would you say are the best spots to find information or communities in kink? FetLife. FetLife's probably a good place to start. I have links to like resources I like down below. I think books are really good if you want to learn stuff. I love books. Podcasts are good too. There's a couple good ones I really like. Lena Dune's podcast is fantastic. Ask a Sub. That's a good one. And there's so many. There's There's American Sex, though that's not really uploading episodes as often these days because Sunny Megatron moved to Portugal, if you didn't know. So she's not much in the podcasting game as often. Bay Area person here, I've generally heard at least decent things about exiles. Oh yes, and there's definitely people in Society Janus who would know where to direct people. Yes, and if nothing else if nothing else works, you can always go to like a really big event. Like you can go to whatever the biggest kink event in your city is, and chances are you can meet people or talk to organizers who know about other events you could go to instead. That's like, oh well, like we don't have something, but here's this like other group, or like they know a munch. It's like the queer women's munch. Yeah, I find oftentimes, at least where I have lived, all the queer women's spaces are centered on like something with like yoga, tea shops, reading tarot, spirituality, like that realm. Not so much kink, but it is out there. Okay, let's get back to more questions in order. Those were all kind of related, so I wanted to get to those. There were definitely some very suggestive thumbnails and titles in early YouTube, much more than someone kissing someone. Oh yeah. That was an example I picked tactfully. There definitely more than that. Like, remember back in the day when we could have like realistic dildos in a thumbnail, and YouTube was just like sure, that's fine. Not these days. Not these days. I also managed to lock myself out of the new condo, and this my second night. Oh, Kobush, I'm sorry. Though it took me very little time to break in. I just worry if my neighbors saw and also need to install an alarm. Well, thank goodness you didn't install your alarm yet. If your neighbors see you around, they'll probably realize you didn't break into your apartment. And if no cops have showed up yet, they're probably fine. But that's scary. I have locked myself out of my apartment exactly one time, knock on wood. And it was because I was in college still. I was sharing an apartment with somebody I lived with. And, I mean, obviously, because we lived together, so of course we shared an apartment. And I had taken the train to go visit a family member that lived, like, kind of close by. And they had taken me back to the train station to go back, and I accidentally left my keys in the back of their car. And I didn't realize it until I got all the way to my apartment, because I went from, like, they drove me to the train station, I was on the train, and then I took a bus from the train station to my apartment. And because of that, like, I didn't notice until I went to my door they didn't have my keys on me, which was like I was missing all of my keys. Like I didn't have my car keys and have nothing. So I had to have my landlord come and unlock the door for me. And then I don't remember how I got the keys back. I think I had a spare key for my car, like in a lockbox. So I think I used that, and then I met them like halfway. Like we met at like a mall or something, and I got my keys. That was stressful though. Good thing that was a long weekend, so I had time to go and get my keys. But yeah, it was not great to come home from being on a train. It's 10 p.m. at night and you can't get into your apartment because all of your keys are missing. Because my roommate at the time was also out of town, and so like she couldn't let me back in. I was just stuck. Pirate mermaid play seems perfect for switching. Oh yeah, good point. Because who's dominating a given time, it can be purely subjective. Oh yeah, I feel like also that could work well with like hypnosis, because like mermaids, sirens, you know, drawing a person in to like seduce them. Like pirates, obviously, you got all the role play you could want in the world. Or like knives and threatening people with weapons, if that's your kink. Also, the Saturday before Folsom, there's an anyone but cis dudes party hosted by After Dark in probably the nicest dungeon space in the area. Oh, nice. Good. Yeah, anytime the Folsom, honestly, if you want to have a chance of getting into an event that's like in your wheelhouse, look around like the week either side of Folsom. More so before Folsom and during the actual celebration of Folsom. But that's a big one. When I went to Folsom, last time it was a couple years ago, but the dungeon I tried to go into when I went the previous time was jam-packed to the gills. It was so busy. I wouldn't go again for that reason, because there's just way too many people for me. But if you want to go and like be certain you're going to meet people who are into your kinks, one of the more specialty niche events around Folsom is a good bet. And there's like a really, really, really big, like, just general LGBT presence in the city. So there's probably something for everybody there. I'd wager a bet. Either I'm having issues or the stream is anyone else having connection problems. That is not you. Kind of intermittently during the whole stream I've been having connection issues. It doesn't, like, it kind of happens for like a second and then it like slowly fixes itself over like 30 seconds. But I'm sure it's annoying to deal with, and I don't know what to do about it. It just is what it is, so. Ooh, don't forget Viking Sea King. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, if you're gonna do like mermaid roleplay, yeah, you can do like Viking sailor. You could do like sort of a Moby Dick type situation, but with a mermaid. You could do like innocent, naive fisher boy on his little boat gets seduced by a siren. All kinds of options there. Have you ever heard of anyone mixing BDSM and witchcraft? Yes, I have, Evan. So this is not really my wheelhouse, but I know, let's see, who have talked about this? Using the label witchcraft specifically, maybe not. Not in that term, at least. But what I have seen is a fair amount of people that practice kink with some level of like pagan spirituality, polytheism, deity worship, like sex magic, like something in that wheelhouse. Lee Harrington has talked about it. He has a couple books that are referencing kind of the more magical, esoteric side of like kink and that connecting with spirituality. And Raven Caldera also is the same way, but that's like kind of Raven's whole thing, is talking about MS relationships and then also talking about like his path with I don't remember if he identifies as like not a bard. He has some like specific term he identifies with in like the shaman. That's what it is. He identifies as a shaman. And so that's definitely a thing you see. And like in general, you do see people like both in a role play setting, like people will kind of like make believe doing a like, ooh, we got a circle of candles and we have like a big pentagram and like we're gonna do a fake demonic ritual or something. Like that's especially around Halloween time, you will see scenes like that. But genuine like people who are like practicing as part of like a genuine spiritual belief, you will find that as well. Less talked about, I think, in the broader kink community. Like you're probably not going to go to like a mainstream kink party and hear anyone talking about it. For the most part, the people I know of that incorporate BDSM with like a magical practice or a spiritual practice, they tend to do it more privately, kind of on their own, like because of the fact it's spiritual. Like if you're the kind of person who like maybe you're more like Wicca oriented or something like similar to that, like if you have like a home altar, like, you're probably going to be doing something around that. You're not really going to be like, you can't, well, unless somebody invites you to, right? You can't necessarily like set things up the way that you'd want to in a public play space. So if you're doing something for like witchcraft or like spiritual purposes, you're probably going to want to do it in a space where like you control the setting and you can do whatever like cleansing rituals you want. You can have all the, incense you want, do whatever you want that makes sense for your personal practice. But it is something I've seen before. I'm curious. I do wonder like what... Because there is a community for that, right? There are like online like magic like workers and even people that do sex magic. I wonder if there's any kind of stigma from like the people who do like vanilla sex magic that are like, listen, vanilla sex magic is one thing, but kinky sex magic is a step too far. There's somebody out there that practices sex magic that also kink shames, and I like. I just know for sure. But yeah, that's the extent that I know about it. It's not something I know about personally. But on the flip side too, like I know people that are like practicing Judaism. I know people that are practicing Christianity who also like engage in kink. So it's the full like spectrum of relationship with spirituality. It's not just like occult practices and like offering something to like a pantheon of gods. Like you also get people that are doing kink and they feel like it's in some way aligned with their spiritual teachings, even in like monotheism. I haven't, and this is probably more based on like where I live, because there's not, like, at least in the kink community, there's not really a sizable Muslim population. I haven't seen anyone who's like a practicing Muslim who's in the kink scene, but like never say never. Like I'm sure if I went around like the Great Lakes region, like if I went to something in like Michigan or somewhere like there, I'd probably find somebody who is, and that like wouldn't be completely like, it wouldn't throw me for a loop. Just be like, oh yeah, because like people are people, and even if it seems very counterintuitive, like I'm sure there's lots of Christians that would be absolutely like aghast at the idea of like doing a DS relationship and like believing that's in line with your spirituality or like belief in Jesus. But like people do, again, like people are gonna do what they're gonna do, and like you just saying you don't think it's real is gonna stop them. You're probably right, but of the people I know that have practiced sex magic, the Venn diagram between them and kinksters is a circle. Also, the Venn diagram between them, kinksters, and people who are not cis is also like very large as well. So I think that probably, to a certain extent, lends itself to perhaps some deeper level of acceptance of the diversity of the experience of humanity. Though, I mean, the Blair White's always a counterexample to that, I suppose. Hey, we might rent an actual goat to help the vibe. But flogging people? That's just weird. Yeah, maybe. Somebody probably thinks that. Like, listen, the goat is a necessity. The flogging is just sacrilegious. Making sex magic just sounds like making the subtext into super text. Yeah, exactly. It does seem like maybe a little too on the nose. I figure that lately that kink is absolutely a spiritual thing. Oh yeah, for a lot of people. But it doesn't have to be either. Like, again, it's the full range. And that includes, like, also not experiencing it as a spiritual thing. Like, being raised Catholic, I know a fair amount of people in the scene, and I do myself, like, enjoy occasionally at least, like, playing on, like, themes of, like, Christianity and Catholicism. Because, like, no one does it like the Catholics, people. We got all kinds of rituals. We got all kinds of, like, we got rosaries, all kinds of outfits. Like, it is begging to be lampooned in a kink context, okay? It's too ornate. It's got too many rituals. It's like, come on, like, what do you want me to do? Not make it into a kink thing? Sorry, not gonna happen. Sorry, happen. Psalm 89? Oh wait, is that a thing? I'm looking it up. I don't know if that has to do with anything. I just looked it up. That's probably one that's like important to people. There's definitely other parts of the Bible that are way more about submission than this, if that's the point. Please tell me you know about the Christian BDSM people who do DS and swear to the same thing. Oh, I know about the Christian domestic discipline people. I've actually never made a video. I've talked about it in other, in other videos, like, I don't remember where I've talked about it before, but it was not a standalone video about Christian domestic discipline. Maybe it's worth it to make a video talking about, because especially with, like, tradwifery becoming more of a thing, and being popular even with people who previously were not, like, of the faith, it may be worth it to revisit the Christian domestic discipline thing, because, like, I swear to God, this is what's going to happen. I can see it. I'm accidentally manifesting it. My premonitions are never good, but sometimes they happen. There's going to be somebody who is a tradwife influencer, who is all the phobics, right? Kink-phobic, transphobic, queer-phobic, all that stuff. Has a very, like, traditional tradwife relationship. Definitely has, like, a framed set of house rules that her husband gave her when they got married in a house, above the fucking mantle. Definitely has, like, a creepy photo above the bed of, like, the two of them to like permanently remind everyone who enters the room, this is the room we have sex in, this is our sex room. And they're going to get into Christian domestic discipline, and the trad wife people are going to be like, listen, it's only natural in a trad wife household that it's the husband's duty to keep the wife in line. And according to the Bible, there's no problem with, physically reprimanding your spouse, because as the head of household, as a man, you are God in the house, and it's your duty to make sure that your wife is like obedient in the eyes of the Lord. And like, at the same time they're doing all this, at the same time they are pulling out all the stops to justify their, I don't even know what to call it, their not kink relationship. They're gonna be like, kink is terrible. They're gonna find videos of like somebody at a pride parade marching around with like leather chaps and like a leather harness on, and they're gonna be like, you're burning the eyes of the children, how dare you? And it's like, you were literally being spanked in a room in the evening, one room over, sharing a wall with your toddler. And you want me to believe that the thing that is most dangerous to children is the fact that there was somebody at a pride parade you didn't go to that was wearing a strap of leather around their chest. That's not in your home, somebody being spanked and like it explicitly having a gendered spiritual, this is for like the betterment of your mother's spiritual well-being aspect. Like, I know, like, fundies already do stuff like this, but, like, not all trad wives are fundy. Like, some of them are, like, more with it, Like, they don't get into full fundy territory. What's gonna happen? Honestly, you know what I need to do? I need to talk to Fundy Fridays. I need to talk to Fundy Fridays about Christian domestic discipline. I don't know if she'd want to collab with me. I don't know how we would make that work. Never say never. I think that could be a fun video, though. So consider it somewhere on the fucking docket. But I do know about them, and they are concerning to me. There is literally a video of what you're describing right now where they're interviewed. No, really? Okay. I'm not going to find that. Okay. I knew it. I didn't think it was going to happen so soon. I didn't think it was already out there. Maybe I like watched that and I don't remember the details of it. Because I do remember watching a video that was like of people describing their like reasons for doing domestic discipline. I don't remember any of them explicitly saying that like kink is gross and weird and like we're fine. But maybe they didn't. I just didn't remember it. The child life pipeline is real. Oh yeah. Most of these Christian domestic discipline people also believe in beating children when it's clear they're kink and they use objects, so they don't care about the kids. Oh yeah, like there's very influential books in the repertoire of trad and fundy parents where literally it teaches you that in order to be a good godly family, you have to beat your children physically with implements, like from the time that they're like little babies, like tiny babies. Like I think even, and this is, I'm sorry, this is like very disturbing, but like they will even advocate, I think, I remember hearing this, I think I remember them advocating at one point for like if a baby like bites you while you're breastfeeding, to like flick them on the nose, like to like pinch your baby and like cause your baby pain to get them to like not bite you while breastfeeding. Like it's absolutely nutso stuff. Like taking something that is like such a vulnerable time, the most vulnerable time for a developing kid, and then just to turn it into something that's like a source of pain and confusion is like, it's so awful to me. It's so awful. Fundy Fridays is a YouTuber, roughly the same size channel as mine in terms of subscribers, who makes videos talking about different aspects of like fundamentalism and like cults and stuff. The problem is that acknowledging what they do is kink would mean acknowledging that what they do is a choice and not compulsory. I mean, I won't necessarily want them to identify what they're doing as a kink thing. I'm okay with it, like, just being a religious, spiritual thing. I I just want them to not put down kink at the same time if they're doing the same thing. I think there are some people where like they would really benefit from like some sex positivity and like maybe reading a book about like negotiation. Because my main problem with like Christian domestic discipline is that the experience of consent within it is highly variable. Like you do get people where it's like, oh, it's always really light and like the wife actually really wants it and she like enjoys it and like he never goes too hard on her. It's just like light taps on the butt and it's like it's basically nothing. It's super passe. It's more like symbolic than anything else. Like you get people that are like that. And then you get people on the other side of the spectrum that are like, the husband rules the household with an iron fist, and he has a whole set of rules for his wife, and he's like very cruel, he's very mean, and like will like slap his wife in the face for like messing up dinner in front of the kids. Like, and she's not allowed to say anything about it because that's like her place and like it's his job is like, you know, being the representative of God in the household. It's like his duty to correct her that way. So you get sort of all under one umbrella. You get people that are doing things that are like probably relatively understandable, if like a little strange, to like deeply, deeply concerning and not something I would ever want like humans to encourage other people to engage in their relationship. Honestly, how many kinky people come from fundamentalist households? Because it's probably more than zero. Probably more than zero. Rose asks, hey Evie, any tips or experience for a situation where aftercare is interrupted and dealing with heavy drop where there is a gap in time before being able to reconnect with the person you played with? Okay, so aftercare interrupted, dealing with heavy drop. Okay, so you're dealing with like basically like self-care, more or less, sort of interim self-care. I think it depends on the kind of scene that you did. So take my advice with a grain of salt because I don't know what kind of play you did or for how long or like any of that stuff. But I find for me sort of the best baseline for aftercare if you're not able to see a partner is make sure you're getting good sleep, like 8 hours, okay? Like whatever is normal for you. It could be 7.5, it could be 8.5, it could be 9, whatever is like whatever amount of sleep your body normally likes to have. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. Make sure you're drinking enough water. That's really important. It depends on like your level of activity. I would aim like minimum like 60 ounces of water a day. 100 plus would be like, especially in hot weather, would be like fantastic. But I know drinking that much water can be a pain. So, you know, at least like about 60 ounces of water, 64 ounces of water a day. And then make sure you are eating like healthy, like whole foods. And it's like, I'm not saying that as like a judgmental thing about like healthy being better or whatever, but like it's more about when you're dealing with drop, oftentimes that can involve having a reduction in the raw materials that your body needs to produce more neurotransmitters. Cause like drop, all right, you have like this really like, let's just say it's like dopamine, okay? You get like all this dopamine, it's amazing, it's super fun, and the drop happens when like your dopamine drops off because there's a lag in the signaling for like your body's basically like make more dopamine as you're like going along, and then like after the scene ends it's like, oh crap, stop making dopamine, and then as your body is like trying to consume the like spent dopamine, basically like that process takes a while and your body tends to overshoot because there's a lag in the signaling where you end up with like normal scene space and then drop is like much lower, and then it's harder for your body to like get up to speed with making your like normal amounts again if you're not like fueling your body properly. So like that's like it's not because it's like a like, you know, eating an apple is like morally better than like having chocolate cake. Like have the chocolate cake. Do that for yourself. Go for it. But also think about the food that you're eating and like if you're getting all your macronutrient needs met, your micronutrients, you know, take a multivitamin. Magnesium is really helpful for a lot of people. That can be, I don't really like magnesium pills because they tend to be kind of big, but you can do like magnesium soaks in a bath if you have access to a bathtub, or magnesium lotion if you don't. That's a good option too, because that's also, let's say, relaxing for your muscles, but also it's an important like thing for your body that a lot of people have some kind of deficiency in. So magnesium is really good for that. Like having some kind of soothing, soothing thing that you enjoy doing. I like having, for aftercare, if I'm doing it on my own, I like to have like a set time when it's just about relaxing, and I try to have as many like positive sensory experiences as possible to like ground myself back in my body again. So like having a hot cup of tea while like reading a book on the couch, and I'm like drinking something hot and I'm smelling it, I'm feeling the pages, and I'm trying to be as connected to that bodily experience of like being present and being in the moment. Also doing meditation, mindfulness practices can also help too. But I think definitely having that fuel aspect is important for people. I don't think a lot of people account for that. I think having protein is a good idea. I think taking multivitamins is a good idea. Make sure you're just taking care of your body there. But yeah, what do you think is a good pre-scene meal? Is that a consideration at all? Yes. What do you think is a good aftercare snack food or meal or treat? So before a scene, again, it depends on the scene, but generally speaking, I try to eat light because I really hate doing anything on a full stomach. I hate it. It's not fun for me. So I try to have like maybe a couple hours beforehand. Like let's say I'm going to play at like at 9, I'll eat at like 5. I'll have a light meal. Normally, if I'm going to have a bigger meal during the day, it'll be like the middle of the day. It'll be like lunchtime will be like my bigger meal, especially the day before. If anyone played sports growing up, you probably know this. If you're going to be doing like a really intense like masochism scene, you're going to be doing like a double whipping, like co-bottoming thing where like 2 people are whipping you at once. Making sure you're having a lot of carbohydrates the night before, like good carbohydrates, not just like any random old thing, like a bunch of potato chips. Have like a whole grain pasta, chickpea pasta, have some kind of like sauce on it, maybe put some protein on there, put some stuff in the sauce, whatever, get some good carbs, spaghetti dinner, it's a classic. The day beforehand. And then the day of, afternoon, have a little bit, maybe more of a meal if you're hungry for that. Like a couple hours before, have like a lighter meal, have, something that's like high protein. A lot of like people like boiled eggs, like tuna, like a tuna sandwich. You could do like cheese and ham or like cheese and turkey roll-ups. You could do like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Let's see what else you do, like a salad with like chicken breast, something that's got that balance of like good protein. It's going to give you some energy to sustain yourself during the scene, and is also going to help your body recover afterwards. So that's sort of what I would think about. And then also, I'm not a nutritionist. This is just like my own trial and error experience. I found it makes a really big difference for me if I eat well leading up to doing a scene versus if I don't. And then for after a scene, I think if you want to both kind of hit the middle on like having a satisfying treat that's, like kind of in the usual realm of like a sweet thing, and also is going to give you energy, I think like a chocolate protein bar or like a chocolate protein shake is a fantastic option. Especially if you're playing at home and you've got kind of like access to stuff. You can have a protein shake in the fridge for later. You can bring a protein bar with you to a dungeon, and you're both going to get that sweet and then like chocolate that a lot of people look for after a scene, and you're also going to get, the protein to help with that recovery process. But yeah, that's sort of what I would look for. I think that's like really important. And as far as like dealing with heavy drop, I think it's something I've sort of grappled with recently is understanding like what overworking yourself truly means. Because I think generally we think about exhaustion as being a physical thing, but in reality, it's also a mental thing too. So if you're like, you went through something really intense and now you're dealing with drop, even if you feel physically okay, like mentally, you can still really tax yourself by like thinking too hard. I think this is why like cuddling up and like watching a Disney movie is beneficial for people when they are, doing aftercare, because like you don't have to think hard when you're watching a Disney movie. If you can, give your brain or two, like a day or two to just like rest. Like don't watch any like intense video essays. Don't like try to like study like a new like textbook or something. Like do just keep your brain relaxed, keep your body relaxed. Some people benefit, they do enjoy like light activity, so like going for a long walk outside, spending some time on a treadmill. I wouldn't like push yourself like physically super hard unless like if you're somebody who like regularly lifts weights and it's like part of your daily routine, it's a little different. But I wouldn't start doing any new activity on top of anything with heavy drop. So it's basically about like nutrition, rest, not only relaxing your body, but also relaxing your brain. So don't do anything too mentally taxing. And just being kind with yourself, focusing on being kind. And then if you know that you have like body soreness, you have, muscle aches and pains, I think taking like a hot bath, some candles, actually not hot, but like a warm. Magnesium absorbs better when it's warm versus hot. But magnesium soaks, like some kind of Epsom salts, bath salts. Those are all good. So that would be sort of my advice I would look for. And then if you can, find time to reconnect with your partner when you have the opportunity. Can't eat those because peanuts and migraines. Oh, well, yeah. Don't have something with peanuts in it then. Don't do that. There are a lot of protein bars with peanuts in them, actually. I guess that's a good source of protein. Common flavor people like. It's like one of the 2 default flavors. It's a good point, though. Good question. Thank you, Rose. Okay, I'm going to get to one more question, and then it is, I just need to go take a cold shower. It's very hot, and I need to turn off my computer and take a break. Yeah. How are you doing tonight? I just got back from Fun Night Out. I'm doing great, thank you. A little tired. Had to deal with some traffic in Portland, but nothing else new. That's not the last question. I'm not going to count that one. That's a freebie. That's a freebie. There's also not safe for Tumblr now. That I'm baffled by that. I mean, I guess from a it's against the terms of service. Sure, but I don't get that. I don't know what's going on there. Oh, geez. Okay. Well, people are going to be weird. I think what's a video you've watched before, if it's like a comfort video for you, that's fine. I wouldn't necessarily, if there's anything that's like mentally going to be a lot of processing, like it's like explaining the entire Marvel movie universe in 2 hours, like probably too much. In my opinion, it's subjective though. It's subjective. I've had issues staying connected. Yeah, it looks like there's like a lot of people have had. I can see it's unusual how much stuff's gone up and down during the stream, so that's not surprising. I think so that one about sapphic events. These are rhetorical questions, so I'm skipping over them. I cannot reply to super chats. As far as I can see, I can just like them. That's it. I've heard good things about the new Deadpool movie. I've not watched it. I might be wrong, but I think the first thing I heard about Neil was that he had sex with one of his kids and nannies. Jesus Christ. That would be shocking. That would not be shocking at all. Lots of talking about Neil. Good old Neil. His crime was essentially guilting women into pity sex, right? He went from baller status to getting swept under the rug within 2 weeks. I don't know about that. I haven't read it yet. I don't know what's going on there. I think it's good to be suspicious of famous people. Which came first? Sexual kink or non-sexual kink? Especially in a community sense, probably sexual kink. I think humans are highly motivated by, at least a lot of humans. I'm talking about humans as a category, not individually all humans. I think humanity is very motivated by sex and sexual pleasure and orgasm and things that turn them on and make them feel hot, and doing things with their lawfully wedded spouses once they're allowed to get married. So I think a lot of people are initially motivated by sexual things, but as kink has become more nuanced and incorporated more and more things, I think we've realized that there's lots of activities you can do that are just fun because they're fun and not because it's a sex thing. But I think initially, especially if you're going back farther in history, you're going to see people are mostly doing it for sexual reasons. And then as happens, things change over time and kink becomes more popular for other reasons. What's your favorite Channel 4 show? Yeah, BBC is relatively well respected, but they, like the rest of the UK media outlets, have a somewhat... I guess that means instead of teen phobic, I think it's supposed to be transphobic. Maybe they're phobic of the teens. I don't know. Maybe they're like, the teenagers, I hate them. That would not necessarily surprise me. I watch stuff on their YouTube, so I don't know that there's any like show names. I just watch like if it's a coverage thing that they have. Like, what was the last thing that I watched? It's probably the Hugh Edwards video, or the story about there was an attack at a dance studio. Yeah, I don't think there's not any names for any of the shows. There's one presenter I like quite a bit, but I don't know what his name is. I don't know. I just watch it and I like it. That's all I got. But yeah, there we go. Also, probably homosexual kink was more prominent in the beginning. Yeah, I mean, I think especially, again, in the community context, certainly the leaders of that were the gay men's community and then queer women, and then straight people got involved later on down the line. But, you know, if you watch something like, you know, Professor Marston and the Wonder Women, you know, you'll see that kink has been an interest of the straights as well for, like, quite a long time. So it's not just a gay person thing by any stretch, and there's many, many, many images going back, you know, probably what, like 150 years at least at this point. I don't remember when cameras were invented in like 1860s, 1870s, something in there, of like people doing kinky sexual photographs of like, you know, women tight-lacing corsets and, you know, women spanking each other and doing things like that. So it's been, people have loved certain aspects of kink for a very long time. Yeah. Kids these days, truly. Okay, all right, I'm going to head out. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me on this Friday night. Stay safe out there. Thank you so much again for watching. I will see you very soon. New video came out today if you didn't see it. It is on more of the Tumblr stuff, which you kind of covered in this as well, but it's much more in depth and like go into it a lot more in that video. So again, thank you all so much. Hopefully you have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay safe, drink water, wear sunscreen, and I'll see you all again later.